With international basketball in full swing today, we are going to talk about a few of the top international prospects in the 2023 NBA draft. I have a special guest who you're going to be hearing a lot more from in the very near future. Stay tuned. All right, good morning. Happy Monday. Shout out to each and every person that has made the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. LinkedIn jobs help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. All right. It is Monday morning, and I had a crazy weekend. I am your host, Rafael Barlowe, the director of scouting for NBA Big Board, the founder of NBA Draft Junkies, and a very tired international scout. My last few days have been pretty crazy. Let's see. I did 4 days in Paris, a day in Amsterdam, flew from Paris to New York, missed my connecting flight because JFK only had 4 people working in customs. So 4 people working in customs. There's a flight from Paris and a flight from Dublin that landed at the same time. So you can imagine there's like 400 or 500 people with 4 people in customs. Luckily, they let me cut in line. So I cut in line. I cut all these people, but then my luggage wasn't ready. So between the time that we landed, it was like 55 minutes between when we first landed and when the first bag came out. Go to the first, get my bag. Luckily, I was one of the first bags, get to security because I had to go through security again. And I have status. I was able to cut in line and the gates closed. So long story short, I missed my connecting flight from JFK to Dallas. And the only way to get home was to go from JFK to Miami to Dallas. Long day. So it was really from start to finish, probably about 20 to 21 total hours of traveling. So on top of jet lag and all the traveling I did, I got a baby that's 10 weeks old. So, he doesn't care. So he stays up all night. So I'm having a rough time. And I have a flight in a few hours to go to Las Vegas because I'm going to the Victor Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson showcase. That is, the first game is tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be able to catch a practice later on today. But anyway, Victor Wembanyama is somebody that I've talked about at length in probably like the last 4 or 5 episodes. And in this episode, we're going to talk about other international prospects. And I have a special guest who, like I said in the opening, you're going to be hearing more from him because I think he has a very, very bright future. We're going to be working together in the future. And he was the reason I went to Amsterdam. I went to meet up with him. It is Xavier Van Lierop. Now, did I say Xavier is the English version? How do I say it in Dutch? Or
in Dutch, in Dutch is Van Lierop. I know it's hard for people in America to use like 2 names as last name, Van Lierop. But yeah.
But it's Xavier, right?
Yeah, it's Xavier Van Lierop.
Xavier Van Lierop. Remember the name.
Yeah.
All right, let's just get right into it. Victor Wembanyama. So I've had a chance to watch him play live twice last week. And you are, I guess I forgot to mention your credentials. I don't want people to think I'm just picking a random person out of Twitter and bringing them on. So you are an assistant coach with one of the Dutch national teams.
Yes, the youth teams, Dutch national youth teams. I'm the head coach of the 3x3 youth, also youth teams. And yeah, well, in my free time, I like to do scouting. I help players. I do individual training with a lot of international players. So.
Yeah, and I've had a chance to, when I was in Amsterdam a few days ago, I watched some workouts. He took me to, a game where some of the younger guys were playing. I got to watch some 3-on-3 practices. And he wants to be involved in scouting and coaching, and someone that a lot of the international scouting services in Europe have a lot of respect for. So once I, heard about him, I had to make the connection. So anyway, let's just get right into it. What were your thoughts on Victor Wembanyama prior to this season and what he has shown so far this season? Are you a little bit surprised by some of the growth that he's made over the past few months?
Well, actually not. I expected this because you always see like those little clips as he's working out with pros, he's working out with NBA trainers. Um, Last season he was working out. Well, he played for Asvel, so he had a lot of good experience. So for me, it was not really a surprise that he's already like dominating his first preseason games, and I think we can expect more tomorrow against the G League team, Ignite team.
All right. So how do you think he'll play in this setting, this showcase? It's like this unique situation where it's an exhibition game. It doesn't count on anybody's record, but there's so much to prove. I mean, Victor is likely coming in with the mindset that I am clear-cut number one, the top pick. Scoot Henderson, who is a lot of people, including myself, assume he is Victor's biggest challenge or competitor to go number one, has to feel like this is my opportunity to show that I am the best prospect in the 2023 class. And then you have other guys, from Sidy Cissoko to Leonard Miller. You have, everybody has something to prove in this game that absolutely means nothing. So just based off of a prediction, what are your thoughts on this particular matchup?
Yeah, so for me, like you said, there's not a lot of, you have nothing to lose, but there's still a lot of pressure for a lot of, for some athletes, for Scoot Henderson, for Sidy Cissoko, for Wembanyama to showcase his skill set, his why he is the number one pick. I think this setting will be perfect for Wembanyama. All right, this will be just you can see now like how he will play in an NBA setting against NBA veterans, against NBA top picks with NBA rules, with an NBA court. So I think this will be a really good showcase for him to see where he stands in against old NBA players, or upcoming NBA rookies.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting simply because the Metropolitans they've played games. They've played at least 3 regular season games. They've played multiple preseason games. They've practiced. They've had training camp. While the Ignite hasn't played, I mean, this team was just officially announced a few days ago. So you have to imagine the advantages going to the Metropolitans. But then again, they had a long travel trip. I mean, I left Paris Saturday morning. I believe their flight was a few hours before mine. Hopefully they didn't have the same travel issues that I had, but they're probably dealing with a little bit of jet lag simply because they probably have not even been here 48 hours yet, and then they have a game in another 24 to 36 hours. So I still say that they have the advantages. Now, outside of Scoot and Wembanyama, is there anybody else in this particular game that you are going to be paying close attention to?
Oof. I'm a big fan of Sidy Cissoko. I played against him as a coach when I was in Spain, when he played for Baskonia in the youth Spanish championship. I saw him play in real life. This guy is physical, uh, already like up there, grown.
Yep.
Has a good shot, can facilitate. Like this is those no look passes in the open court. I would love to see him in this game. Also in the Nike Hoop Summit, I like his presence. I like how he played. I like how how he pushed the ball. So I will watch him a lot. I will watch him a lot this season also. So
one of the reasons that I was really looking forward to working with you is because not only do you have a background scouting, but you have a background as a coach. And I think that coaches see the game a little bit different than scouts. So from your coach's perspective, as someone that has coached against Sissoko, What is it about him that stands out to you?
Man, how he get his teammates involved. Just his presence, man, like his winning character. He's he has the ball and you already know he's like, I'm gonna dominate, I'm gonna score. When he has the ball, when he grabs a rebound, when he gets up, he's so aggressive. You see his mental toughness. You can see that up close on the court, you know. So when you play against him and you try to do some different defensive schemes from him, you just see like how he adapts. Oh, you're hatching now? All right, no problem. I will split, split a pick and roll, or you're dropping. Cool, no problem. I will just, pull up, go for a pull up jumper. Those things are, you see those things up close, and then you recognize and you see like this guy has also some basketball IQ.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I was hoping to watch him play when I was on my European tour last year. I didn't get a chance to because when I was in Spain, I was there in November and they started to shut everything down because of, I guess, the outbreak of COVID again. So I didn't get a chance to watch him live. So that's one of the regrets I have for last season. But I want to talk to you a little bit more about Sidy, but I have to tell the audience about LinkedIn, and that's because these days every new potential hire can feel like a high stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and free. So I am a person that before I went on my self-employed journey, I used to post jobs on LinkedIn or apply for jobs on LinkedIn and post my resume on LinkedIn. And the connections on LinkedIn are incredible. So if you're a company, add your job. And if you add hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile, you can spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and, more importantly, who you'd like to hire. That's why, if you're a small business, it is very important for you to work with a company like LinkedIn because LinkedIn is rated as the #1 company in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. So post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. That is linkedin.com/lockedonnba to post your job for free. Thank you so much for making Locked On NBA Big Boy your first listen of the day. Now make sure you check out the Ultimate Pro Basketball Preview, which starts October 10th. It is a 6-episode extravaganza to help you ready for the NBA season. The local team experts and the NBA insiders of the Locked On Podcast Network and Odyssey all combining into one ultimate NBA preview. So starting October 10th, search for the Ultimate Pro Basketball Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Once again, you are listening to Locked On NBA Big Boy Podcast. This is Rafael Barlowe with my guest, Xavier Van Lierop. All right. So Sidy Cissoko, do you have him as a first-round pick? And if so, what range? Do you think he is someone that with a strong showing could sneak into the back end of the lottery? Do you think he's a mid-first round pick, or do you think he's somewhere in the 20s?
I have him in, to be honest, I have him in my 20s, mid first round. Because the thing with me is, he already practiced with the first team with professional players. Right now, he's going to practice and play with professional players in an NBA setting. So I think he will adapt very quickly, man. So he will showcase his talent in the G League. So his development will go through the roof, man. This season. That's why I think he will maybe he has a good chance to go mid first round or 20s.
All right. If you're a coach, which you are a coach, what position do you play him at? Do you try to play him as your primary ball handler, or do you kind of play him as like a secondary ball handler and it's just a guy that's like a weapon that you can use all over the floor?
Yeah, I will use him as a secondary ball handler probably, especially when he's still so young. Um, Not just I would not throw him like into the deep really really quick, really fast. But I will play him as a secondary ball handler. Shoot open jumper, shoot open 3-pointers, attack closeouts, go for rebounds, get up, play a lot of one-on-one, and sometimes I will put him in settings, play him in as primary ball handler, let him play pick and roll, so I can learn it, he can adapt to that, and so on. Later, I will definitely play him as a primary point guard ball handler in like 3, 4, 5 years when he developed it.
Yeah, he has the tools. I mean, 6'8", 220 pounds, still only 18 years old. He fits this modern day NBA of this positionless basketball where versatility is so important. Now, for me, the biggest concern is the shooting and the shot selection. So I feel like there's potential with the shot, but the percentages can be a little down because sometimes I feel like he takes tough shots. What are your thoughts on his shot selection?
Yeah, yeah, I think too. So that's why, as a coach, I will say start with corner 3-pointers, open 3-pointers, spot ups. The league is like a heavy 3-point shooting league now, but for me, I think you see the potential, you see the form. You see he can knock down open shots. You can even see he can knock down like contested jumpers off the dribble. But yeah, there's some development. They need some work on his shot creation or an shot selection. But also, one of the positive things I think is like he can switch on like 1, 2, even 3, the 3 positions. He can switch on those. He can switch on the 1. He can switch on the 2. He can switch on the 3 guard to guard screens. He can switch that. So, for a guard, he's really big, strong, fast. So
Yeah,
I think that's why he can fit in the NBA.
I agree. Yeah, there's so much intrigue. And then you look at like Dyson Daniels, for example. Dyson Daniels wasn't someone that we thought, at least me personally, and a lot of people that covered the draft didn't think he was going to be a top 10 pick. And some may feel like Sidy has more tools than Dyson Daniels. He's definitely bigger at 6'8", 220, at least stronger, physically stronger. All right, the next prospect I want to talk to you about, he is not participating in this Ignite versus Metropolitans game, but he's a French prospect, another French prospect. It is Rayan Rupert, who is playing in Australia right now. In my opinion, he represents your typical 3-and-D wing. He has a ridiculous wingspan. If I'm not mistaken, I hear it's like 7'3" or something like that.
Yeah, man, I got 7'3".
7'3", 7'3" wingspan, and I think he's listed at like 6'7", maybe. It's crazy that he has such a long wingspan at that height. He has to play basketball. You can't be a regular guy with that wingspan. How are you gonna go buy a suit? But yeah, I'm looking forward to watching him play. So far, he's had a few strong games in the Australian NBL. What are your thoughts on him? And before you get into that, have you had a chance to coach against him?
No, not against him, man. I only saw him play at the ANGT and the under-18s European Championship. That's the only 2 times I saw him play. But I watched his dad. His dad was a really good athlete in France, man. Really good basketball player.
And his sister too just won a championship in the WNBA. So it's a basketball family.
Exactly. So those things, you can see like he's very lanky, athletic, but still his wingspan, you can see it with his shot. He has like a high release point, almost impossible to touch, to block. But his such selection is also at times very poor, man. Not a really efficient 3-point shooter. I don't know if you watched the European Championships. Yeah. You can see that. Doesn't draw a lot of fouls, so not very physical, but he's very quick. Has a good sense of spacing on the open court. He can switch very fast from defense into offense. Like his dad, he has quick hands, good feel for where the ball's going. Very disruptive in passing lanes. Showed flashes of solid rebounding position, but really needs to improve that, man. not really a high rebound. They had like only average like 2.9 rebounds
Yeah.
at the NGT, 3 rebounds in the European Championship. For somebody with that wingspan, needs to be more. That can be like an upside. Um, I'd like to see him more in a situation where he drives and just stops on a dime and shoots players. No, use the wingspan. He already uses it in defense. Like to see it to use it more in offense. So, but with those long arms, he can finishes around players, man. I like type of players like this.
Yeah, it's
Long
funny.
guards with long arms, man. I like it.
Yeah, it's I mean, NBA scouts like, so when I watched this film, I noticed, like, of course the wingspan is long. I mean, it looks like he can scratch his knees standing straight up without bending down. And he is somewhat of a wing ball handler. He's kind of like most European players where they're very versatile and skilled. They have a little bit of everything in their game. And it's weird because, like, in the States you see guys, and we put them in a box as 3-and-D wings. And usually if they're a 3-and-D wing, that means they probably can't handle the ball. They probably can only just stand in the corner, shoot threes, and they defend. Rupert is like a 3-and-D wing, but he does have some ball handling. You can tell that in his development, he had time like preparing or playing as a pick and roll ball handler. So I do think that he has that. I have him as a capable shooter, but not consistent shooter. And now, do you have any concerns about like his shot being a little slow? Like there's kind of like a dip in the shot, even though the finish is high. I feel like
Yeah,
there's like a little dip that kind of doesn't allow him to fully take advantage of his wingspan.
yeah. A little too much of a dip, right? I think a lot of good shooters dip, but I think this dip is like maybe too long.
Yeah,
So that's why he maybe see some problems with his shot in the NBL.
yeah. And I think more so off the dribble. I think that's
Yep.
where, when you mention like um you like to see him, get to the pull up, I think that's where the dip is kind of a little bit.
Yeah.
It, but even though he has shown flashes as being an effective pull up shooter, but I would like to see him add a little bit more offensive creativity. So when I look at guys, I look at what they can do, what they do well, and then I think about, well, if he just added this, he could be really
Yeah.
good. And for him, I think like at the minimum, he's going to be your disruptive defender, guy that's going to knock down open shots. But I want to see him add some shake and bake, some offensive creativity, some one-on-one skills, because if he adds
Yeah.
that, like he has a major advantage over wings that are guarding him because he can just get to his spots and elevate over the top. So
Yeah.
that's my thoughts on Rupert. All right, before we get into the next segment, I got to talk to you about BetOnline. I'm heading to Vegas, and then when you think of Vegas, you think of betting. And if you're betting and you can't make it to Vegas, go to betonline.net, because that is your number one source for football betting this season. You can find all of the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game that you can find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all of your sport wagering information, with live betting and up-to-date scores for every sport out there. It is the fastest and the easiest way to check on all of your favorite games, events, which includes Major League Baseball, MMA, boxing, and golf. So head to betonline.net and use your mobile device to learn more. Bet Online is where the game starts. All right, last segment. We talked about 3 French prospects for the most part. Now let's switch it up. Have a couple guys that I want to get your opinion on. All right, first, let's talk about James Nnaji. I talked about him on my last podcast that I did on Friday. Now, James is someone that, when I first saw him play last year in Spain, because I had moved to Barcelona at the beginning of the season, and my whole purpose of going to Spain was because I felt like Spain had the most NBA prospects in their system. I think France has the most homegrown in a sense, which some people can argue that they're really that's a whole different story. And then
Yeah.
Spain has so many prospects coming from all over. So with Naji, I was not impressed by him when I watched him play with the Barcelona juniors. I thought that, he was bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic than everybody else. They were giving the ball in the post, and it just led to some very ugly post possessions because he doesn't have great touch around the rim, not really polished as a low post player. But you can't deny the size, the athleticism. I mean, this dude is for lack of a better term, he's a beast. He is a Hulk. I
Fully,
mean,
man.
and at the time he's like 17. I was like, how do you get these muscles upon muscles when you're 17 years old? Like, what? And Europe is not known for having great weight programs. So this is all natural, God-given strength. And he ended up moving up and playing with the Barcelona senior team. Looked like a totally different player. I mean, he's effective. He had an impact in some games. He's like your typical physical rim runner, has vertical pop. What are your thoughts on James?
Yeah, man. Like you said, when he plays with the pros, you will get well. You see he's surrounded with some like more quality players. So you see they will give him the ball when he runs the ball. Um, he's more faster and mobile than most of the bigs that are guarding him, like those old pro players.
Yep.
So you see he's just slipping around them and grabbing the rebounds, putbacks. He looks more hungry. He looks more
Yes, more motivated.
aggressive. Yeah, more
Yeah.
motivated. Exactly. Especially when, man, his debut, man, he was all over the place, blocking shots, grabbing rebounds, running. But I wish I was at a couple of like Barcelona practices. So you see, they put a lot of effort in him in to teach him how to work in the low post. He has not really like soft hands, you know.
Yeah.
So when he has the ball on the post, it's like one drop step, dunk, one drop step, dunk all the time. So now they're working more on his post footwork and the soft hands, hook shots on the board, hook shots without the board. I feel like yeah, he's a freak athlete, but he needs to develop more IQ. So when he's in the post, you see like a double team, kick it out. You just see at times he's just reading that too slow.
Yeah. And that's where I'm kind of confused in a sense because his flaws are very obvious when you watch him against his age group. But then when you saw him against like the older guys, they didn't give him the ball in the post. So
Yeah,
he didn't have to like read double teams in a sense. All he did was screen, move. And the
yeah,
thing that I like about him was that he was very good at finding gaps in the defense. Like he knows how to move to the spot to where he makes himself available to where he can get an easy dunk because that's all you're going to really get from him is dunks and putbacks and just
yeah,
energy and hustle plays. So it's like he already has a defined skill set and a defined role in the NBA. But again, like I said in the last segment, there's always something where you feel like, all
yeah,
right, he has this. If he can add that, my thing is, I don't know if he can. I don't think that he has the touch to where he is going to be a guy that you can give the ball to and even
yeah.
exploit a mismatch and say, drop in a soft baby hook or
Mm-hmm.
or
Or
I don't
maybe pop out and like a mid range midi.
yeah, I don't see
No.
him being like even short corner or pick
Yeah,
and pop guy. But again, the good thing is he has a skill set to hang his hat on. That's the most important thing in the NBA.
yeah,
Get your foot in the door, make your money there, and then kind of try to add on later on to your game, which is better than guys that, in my opinion, have so many things that they're good at, but not that one specific skill set, which is kind of like a perfect transition into the last player that I want to talk about, and it is Roko Prkacin.
oh
Now, we
yeah,
talked about him briefly when I was in Amsterdam, and you're concerned about his injuries. You're saying that he just can't stay healthy.
yeah, man.
What are your thoughts on his move to Girona this year? He'll be playing in Spain, so he'll be playing with
Yep.
Marc Gasol. I think that's definitely going to help him out. What are your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on him? I mean, he seems like he's been on the radar for like the last 2 years, and I thought he
Yep.
probably could have got drafted 2 years ago. What are your thoughts on Roko?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my concern. He dropped out because of his injury in his ankle, right? He didn't play a lot last season because of his ankle. I was already like a big fan since I saw him in the under 16s European Championship, man. When he won the European Championship against Spain, against Garuba,
Yep.
the game was insane. It was amazing. High basketball IQ, lost drive the straight lane, pass out of the post, athletic, can jump of 2 feet, 1 feet, soft hands, nice touch, running hooks,
Big hands.
big hands,
Yeah.
has a great feel. Reminds me a little bit of like I don't know, like a little bit Kevin Love, young
Ah,
Kevin
okay.
Love player. outlet passes, full court outlet passes. You can just see the potential, man. One of his other things I'm worried about is his shot. You see a lot of potential in his shot, but once he cuts the shot and his release point is sometimes it's too late. He shoots when he's already going down. I
Yeah,
don't know
like
if
when you're
you
playing
saw that.
NBA
Yeah,
2K, you hold on to the
yeah,
button too long.
yeah. Exactly like that sometimes. But
Yeah.
you see the potential. His form is good. He can shoot open 3-pointers, pick and pop. He has this like big, strong, heavy legs, and there's also like one of my concerns is like he will maybe be too slow against quicker guards once you have to switch on like a Ja Morant or Dame Lillard. This
Yeah.
guy might have a problem, man.
Well, I think everybody has a problem with those guys, but I get what you're saying. He could
Yeah.
be a guy that they target every play while he's in
Mm-hmm.
and just kind of go at him and attack, especially when you watch the playoffs. That's what the NBA playoffs is all about, exploiting
Yeah.
mismatches. If they see a weak link, they're going at it. But I like him, man. I just hate the fact that he had such a buzz 2 years ago, and it just seems like it is going down and down. He's kind of forgotten. So I'm hoping that he but I'm hoping that he has a big season and reintroduces himself to everybody that has kind of written him off. But of course, he has to stay healthy. But I think he's in a good situation with Marc Gasol as playing as a mentor and kind of showing him the ropes and just kind of helping him out. So I think he's in a really, really good situation there. I know. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, he's also playing under like a legendary coach, Aito Garcia. I don't know if you know him, but head coach of the national team, Olympics. Coach of Alba Berlin, head coach of Alba Berlin, head coach of Juventud, Barcelona, legendary coach. So I think he will have a lot of help from Gasol, from his coach. There are
He's in
some
a good
other
situation.
Yeah, good situation. Also
Yeah,
playing ACB, only domestic league.
Yeah.
So it will not be so heavy.
That which is true. Very true that it's kind of like the same with Wembanyama playing in with the Metropolitans. He's only playing in one league and once a week. And Wembanyama has some, not as major, but some injury concerns. And I think playing once a week helps help him stay healthy as opposed to playing twice a week.
Exactly.
Well, man, I really, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. We're gonna do this at least once a week, once every couple of weeks, talk about the international prospects. And there's really not too many people better at knowing the international game as far as the younger prospects than my man Xavier, who also has a coaching background. So he's giving you his analysis and insight from the mindset of a scout and a coach, which I think is very, very valuable, because a lot of times when you look at it as from the vision of a scout, you can be so focused on of course, like upside and what they can and can't do. But when you're a coach, you kind of see it like, this is what he does in the X's and O's situation. So I think that'll be really, really beneficial. Well, once again, shout out to each and every person for making this NBA Big Board podcast your first listen of the day. Now, I'd advise you to check out, especially right now with NBA season around the corner, check out the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Show with Josh Lloyd. And Josh, I mean, I'm not being dishonest when I say this. He has the #1 daily fantasy basketball show on the planet, the whole wide world. And it is free and it is available wherever you get your podcast. So once again, thank you so much. And also thank you to everybody that has subscribed to the NBA Big Board newsletter. The money that I'm getting from the subscriptions, I am using it to go right back into the scouting world. That's how I am able to go to France and go to Vegas, because I'm independent. I mean, I don't have a team paying for my flights and put me in 5-star hotels and flying first class. I'm out here I'm out here winging it. And, for when I went up to meet with Xavier in Amsterdam, I took a bus, 6 hours, took a bus. But it's all for, at least in my opinion, it's all for the greater good of this podcast and my newsletter and scouting and so on. So check it out, NBABigBoard.com. I have some good stuff coming up in the very near future. But once again, it's Rafael Barlowe at my man Xavier Van Lierop.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me here, man.
No problem. Anytime. We'll do it again very soon. And we are out.